The traditional aspirational model, the one we often cling to because it promises a smooth, comfortable ride, posits that learning is a linear sequence. You first acquire knowledge, which seamlessly leads to a state of comfort or confidence, and only then can you begin effective practice, culminating in progress. This belief is a powerful inhibitor. It leads many people to stall indefinitely in the initial knowledge acquisition phase, waiting for a feeling of complete readiness or relaxation that rarely, if ever, arrives. We mistake the absence of struggle for a sign of competence, and as a result, we avoid the very situations necessary for true growth. The actual high-growth sequence is far more dynamic and challenging. It states that learning begins with knowledge and initial practice, which almost immediately leads to a necessary feeling of discomfort and awkwardness. This discomfort is not a sign that you are failing or are fundamentally inadequate. Instead, it is a definitive and welcome signal that you are operating squarely in the growth zone, the area where your current abilities are being stretched. This immediate collision with difficulty is precisely what forces the brain and body to adapt, refine, and evolve the necessary skills. If you attempt to skip this discomfort by sticking only to what is easy or familiar, you bypass the very mechanism for true development. The ultimate goal, comfort, is revealed to be a consequence of sustained progress and mastery, not a prerequisite for starting. The discomfort precedes the progress, which then delivers the comfort. By reframing the feeling of being challenged from a threat into an opportunity, we unlock the key strategy for accelerating learning. This shift in perspective, accepting that the journey will be messy and difficult, is the first critical step toward cultivating hidden potential. It ensures that you spend less time preparing and more time actively engaging with the difficult work that leads to genuine, stable skill acquisition. This foundational understanding sets the stage for every practical strategy that follows. When we look at the results of learning, we see a stark contrast. The person who postpones action, waiting for perfect comfort or complete preparation, sees their progress curve remain flat over time. This is because ready is an elusive, subjective feeling, a psychological barrier that shields us from the temporary, necessary pain of being uncomfortable or making mistakes. This self-imposed delay is often procrastination masked as preparation. By waiting, we miss the critical window for real-world feedback. In contrast, the person who chooses to start today sees their progress curve begin slowly but then transition rapidly into a steep, accelerating trajectory. This immediate action is not just about managing time, it requires a specific type of bravery, what the author calls the courage of application. It is being brave enough to use your new knowledge as you acquire it, accepting that your early attempts will be messy and error-prone. This means applying the new skill right away, coding from day one, speaking a new language from the first lesson, or teaching before the lesson plan is perfect. The book makes it clear that proficiency is achieved not by avoiding mistakes, but by making and learning from them as quickly as possible. This immediate action involves stepping out of the comfortable territory of things you are fully prepared to do. If your job or your studies keep you perpetually within that comfort circle, you will experience limited growth. The true space for development is the overlap between what you know and the challenging new territory beyond it. To unlock that potential, you must prioritize brave action over the passive waiting for perceived readiness. The ultimate lesson is that the moment you begin, you unleash the exponential power of real-world practice, which is the engine of all accelerated learning. The truth of achievement can be thought of as an iceberg. Above the waterline, what the public, the media, and often the individual themselves observe and label is the final successful outcome. A person receiving an award, achieving a high rank, or crossing a finish line. This visible success is frequently attributed to innate talent, favorable circumstances, or most commonly, simply luck. This label serves as a convenient shorthand that dismisses the arduous, unglamorous journey that was actually undertaken. People often say that person got lucky, but they are missing the entire story. The real substance of achievement lies beneath that waterline, represented by a vast, multi-layered, and difficult foundation. This unseen structure is built brick by brick with essential character skills and grueling actions. This foundation includes the layers of persistence, resilience, discipline, commitment, and patience. It carries the immense weight of daily actions such as hard work, sacrifice, early mornings, and the consistent exposure to failure. The key point here is critical. Failure and setbacks, like rejection, criticism, and low points, are not deviations from the path to success. They are integral components of its foundation. They are the necessary resistance that strengthens the structure above. By focusing only on the visible outcome, people miss the crucial lesson that success is a matter of cause and effect, where the cause is the unwavering dedication to these difficult, unglamorous, and often lonely tasks. Understanding this framework forces a necessary shift in perspective. Instead of envying others' luck, one must appreciate the enormous quantity of disciplined, consistent, and difficult work that was performed unseen. This part of the book urges listeners to stop romanticizing the final outcome and start respecting the process, which is inherently messy, challenging, and full of setbacks. Recognizing this invisible effort redefines the pursuit of excellence as a strategic long-term commitment to consistent practice, transforming the concept of luck into one of earned potential. This statement challenges the natural human tendency to seek safety. If you are only taking shots or attempting tasks that you are guaranteed to complete successfully, your target, by definition, is too small and provides no opportunity for skill development. The fear of failure is one of the most significant inhibitors of potential, driving people to stick rigidly to comfortable, known activities. Think of it visually. Success is not achieved with a single perfectly aimed arrow. It's achieved by launching many arrows, some of which miss the target widely, some which scrape the edge, until finally one hits the center. The volume of attempts and the lessons learned from the misses are what lead to the final success. The willingness to miss is a form of proactive courage. It represents an acceptance that the most valuable and immediate data comes from attempts that fall short. Every miss provides crucial feedback, whether it's a failed business pitch, an awkward performance in a new skill, or a mistake in a complex project. This feedback allows for the necessary recalibration, adjustment, and refinement of your technique and approach. The book encourages transforming your psychological relationship with mistakes from one of avoidance and shame to one of active seeking and experimentation. Mistakes should be treated as experiments yielding valuable information, not as evidence of your inadequacy. By embracing the possibility of missing, you dramatically increase the sheer volume of attempts. Since success, as we discussed with the invisible effort, is a numbers game based on sustained effort, increasing the frequency of attempts, even if many of them are errors, statistically increases your probability of learning faster and eventually hitting the high-value target. This philosophy directly counters the paralyzing effects of perfectionism, asserting that the velocity of action and the speed of learning from error are superior to waiting for perfect execution.
The bottomless pit of external validation. The book strongly argues that seeking external validation is a bottomless pit. The relentless desire for status, approval, or praise from the general public is a craving that can never be truly satisfied. The moment you achieve one level of approval, a new, higher bar of expectation is set, trapping you in an exhausting cycle. This external focus distracts you from the deep, concentrated work necessary for genuine growth and often compromises the integrity of your work. You begin optimizing your actions for applause rather than for quality or meaning. Prioritizing self-respect. The crucial insight is captured in a striking statement. It's better to disappoint others than to disappoint yourself. This is a powerful call to prioritize self-respect and your deepest values over popularity or social comfort. The challenge lies in recognizing that it is literally impossible to please everyone. Your critics, your traditional mentors, or simply people with different priorities. Therefore, the vast majority of emotional and creative energy spent trying to satisfy the periphery is fundamentally misdirected. You must consciously choose to shrink your focus to the smallest, most significant circle of people whose opinions truly matter. This group should include your most trusted mentors, your closest loved ones, and most importantly, your future self. By choosing to disappoint the periphery, by sticking to an unpopular decision, pursuing a challenging path, or failing to meet unrealistic expectations, you free up the mental and emotional resources needed to focus on work that meets your internal bar for quality and meaning. The ultimate judge of your work must be the person you see in the mirror. This refocusing on personal accountability and internal metrics is essential for long-term satisfaction and sustainable high performance. The inescapable fact of survival. The core message is delivered through a concise statistical observation. The percentage of your worst days you've made it through is unequivocally 100%. This inescapable fact serves as an instant, evidence-based rebuttal to self-doubt, anxiety, and the paralyzing feeling that current struggles are insurmountable. This is not simply motivational fluff. It is a reminder of your historical strength. When you are facing significant setbacks, high pressure, or periods of intense discomfort, the very environments where growth occurs, it is easy for your focus to narrow to the pain of the present moment. However, by reminding yourself of this 100% survival rate, you engage in a powerful form of mental reframing. Resilience as proven capacity. Every past challenge, every moment of fear, every instance of failure or despair that you have experienced, you have successfully navigated and overcome. This past success record is the most concrete proof of your inherent capacity for endurance, adaptation, and resilience. It confirms that the pain you are currently feeling is temporary and that you have the internal mechanisms required to process it and move forward. Tied directly to this affirmation is the simple, bold directive: believe in yourself. This instruction is the necessary psychological fuel to sustain the enormous, invisible effort required for growth. If you accept that growth demands discomfort and frequent mistakes, then the belief in your ability to survive the associated pain is non-negotiable. This concept gives you permission to take risks and face the unknown, secure in the knowledge that historically, your tenacity has always prevailed. This proven resilience is the bedrock that prevents the inevitable failures encountered during the growth phase from leading to complete emotional withdrawal or giving up on your potential. The focus of true improvement. When analyzing how to get better at something, the book provides a compelling distribution of where your energy should be concentrated. The vast majority of controllable growth lies within two areas: sharpening your mind, cognitive skills, and more powerfully, strengthening your character, non-cognitive traits. The idea of trying to change your DNA is correctly relegated to the smallest, most restrictive area, emphasizing that focusing on fixed genetic limitations is a waste of effort. The core realization is that while specific technical skills might change or become obsolete, a strong character is the adaptive, portable framework that ensures sustained success. The power of proactivity and determination. Historically, fields like military training and organizational leadership recognized that narrowly focusing on just technical competence was insufficient. True effectiveness and leadership in complex, high-pressure environments require a broader emphasis on human skills. Traits like proactivity, determination, resilience, and curiosity are not merely feel-good qualities. They are high-leverage capabilities that determine how effectively an individual navigates complexity, sustains motivation, and manages the emotional stress of growth. To maximize hidden potential, the book encourages listeners to treat these character traits as skills that can be systematically learned and practiced, just like a language or a technical ability. Developing the strength to persist despite rejection, the discipline to keep practicing when the material is difficult, and the proactivity to seek out painful but necessary feedback are the true mechanisms of long-term progress. By prioritizing the strengthening of one's character, an individual builds the internal operating system necessary to sustain the intense, invisible effort required for any significant achievement. This focus fundamentally reframes growth from a capacity problem, do you have the talent, to an effort and discipline problem, are you willing to develop the right habits? The danger of delay. The evidence strongly suggests that the path of low growth is the one chosen by those who postpone action. By delaying engagement with a new skill or challenge until they feel a subjective sense of comfort or full preparation, these individuals essentially commit to a period of near zero progress. This wait-and-see approach results in a flatlining of the growth curve over time, signifying that procrastination masked as preparation effectively stalls potential. The key insight here is that readiness is an illusion, a psychological defense mechanism used to avoid the temporary pain of learning. The power of velocity. In sharp contrast, the accelerated growth curve begins the moment an individual commits to start today. This choice means accepting the initial bumpiness, low performance, and mistakes that inevitably accompany the application of a new skill. While the early phase of learning is characterized by friction and error, this very friction is the engine of momentum. The moment you start practicing, you generate immediate real-world feedback, which is the single most critical ingredient for rapid adaptation and improvement. This essential feedback loop is completely absent if one remains in the purely theoretical knowledge acquisition phase. The imperative to act. The simple decision to begin, despite feeling uncomfortable or inadequate, is the single most powerful factor in determining the speed and extent of future growth. This principle applies universally, highlighting the difference between a static life and a dynamic one. The decision to step into the discomfort zone is an active choice to trade short-term emotional ease for long-term competence and achievement. Waiting for external factors to align perfectly or for an internal voice to get permission is a guaranteed way to miss opportunities for significant development. The ultimate message is that the quickest route to competence is through high-volume, imperfect practice, which can only begin now.
The portable engine of growth. The argument here is that while specific technical skills may become obsolete or vary depending on the context, a strong character is a highly valuable, portable, and perpetually relevant asset across all domains of life and work. The book highlights that the traditional focus on only operational tasks and technical proficiency is often insufficient for true effectiveness, especially in complex, high-pressure environments like leadership and collaborative teamwork. Character traits are the internal engine that provides the sustained energy and discipline necessary to navigate adversity. For example, the trait of determination is what ensures you continue the invisible effort even when feedback is slow or non-existent. Proactivity is the trait that compels you to start today instead of waiting for external permission. Resilience is the trait that uses your proven 100% survival rate of bad days as fuel to recover quickly from inevitable setbacks. Character as an adaptive system. These essential character traits govern how an individual manages emotional stress, how they collaborate with others, and how they respond to unforeseen obstacles. By choosing to actively strengthen your character, you are investing in a resource that compounds over time. You are building an adaptive internal system that allows you to handle ambiguity, seek out difficult feedback, and uphold your own standards against external critique. The ultimate lesson is that character is the moral and psychological framework that provides the stamina to push beyond one's comfort zone repeatedly. It fundamentally reframes growth. It is not about what talents you were born with, but about what habits and disciplines of character you are willing to develop. This makes character the single most powerful, controllable factor in achieving and sustaining high performance. The guiding star of aspiration. The book connects all the practical strategies of growth, the uncomfortable practice, the acceptance of failure, the strengthening of character, to a larger, overriding sense of purpose and meaning. This vision, or dream, acts as the essential motivational engine, providing the necessary willpower and focus to continue the invisible effort when the natural momentum slows. The pursuit of potential is inherently difficult. It involves taking risks and standing firm against external pressures. In these moments of extreme challenge and doubt, the initial aspiration is what prevents the individual from retreating into comfort or giving up entirely. Without a compelling reason why you are pushing yourself through discomfort, the process becomes unsustainable. The consequences of letting go. The book underscores this necessity with an evocative quote from the poet Langston Hughes: "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly." This powerful metaphor illustrates the profound consequence of abandoning one's core aspirations. A life without purpose, without the forward drive of a meaningful goal, is one severely limited in its capacity for elevation and achievement.
The wings of a bird represent potential and possibility. If they are broken, the creature is grounded, regardless of its innate ability. Therefore, the commitment to one's potential is ultimately a commitment to one's deepest desires. The encouragement to go the distance is not just about finishing a task, but about maintaining the vitality and direction that dreams provide. This segment reminds us that the hard, tactical work of growth must always be connected to an inspiring, larger narrative to ensure longevity and prevent burnout. It is the belief in a desired future and the refusal to let that vision expire that fuels the sustained character development necessary to fulfill one's hidden potential. The paradox of mastery. The text explains that true skill acquisition is paradoxical. You cannot become truly comfortable with the skill until you have practiced it enough to master it while it was uncomfortable. The mastery we seek, therefore, lies beyond the impulse to avoid pain or awkwardness. If a task feels difficult, awkward, or even embarrassing, the natural human tendency is to retreat, but this avoidance is precisely what prevents mastery. To overcome this inherent psychological resistance, the book champions a character skill called summoning the nerve to face discomfort. This is framed as a conscious, deliberate choice to enter and remain in the challenge zone. By willingly exposing oneself to difficult tasks, frequent mistakes, and the temporary shame of performing poorly, an individual clears a crucial motivational hurdle. They move past the cognitive block that equates discomfort with danger or incompetence, and instead adopt a mindset where discomfort is normalized and even expected. This consistent, deliberate engagement with what feels hard is what makes one a creature of discomfort. Discomfort as a launchpad. The act of embracing discomfort is identified as a necessary component of courage. The book notes that growth requires you to break free from your tried and true methods and put yourself in the ring where you are guaranteed to make more mistakes than others who are simply coasting. The best way to accelerate growth is precisely this: to embrace, seek, and amplify the struggle. This consistent engagement with challenging material is the fastest way to acquire feedback, develop adaptive skills, and ultimately achieve competence. It transforms the psychological barrier of discomfort into a functional launchpad for potential, ensuring you are always operating at the cutting edge of your current ability. The integrated framework. The framework begins with the necessary paradigm shift, abandoning the comfortable model of learning and accepting that discomfort and immediate practice must precede comfort. This requires the courage of immediate action, choosing to start today rather than falling victim to the low-growth trajectory of waiting until they feel ready. This action is sustained by a profound internal belief system, rooted in resilience, trusting in your proven 100% success rate of navigating past difficulties. This resilience, in turn, fuels the invisible effort, the immense foundation of consistent, difficult work that separates true achievement from mere talent. To sustain this effort, one must constantly be willing to take chances and embrace failure, viewing mistakes not as setbacks but as essential data points for improvement. Character as the governing principle. The entire growth process is ultimately governed by strengthening character skills, such as determination, proactivity, and discipline. These are the portable engines of growth, essential for navigating complexity and operating as a creature of discomfort. The integrity and direction of this growth are maintained by focusing on internal validation, measuring success against your own high standards, and accepting that true excellence sometimes requires the difficult choice of disappointing others to stay true to your values. The final synthesis. All these tactical steps are ultimately held together by the need for perseverance, requiring you to hold fast to your dreams. The synthesis reveals that maximizing hidden potential is the integration of these 12 principles, creating a dynamic, self-reinforcing loop where courage feeds action, action yields discomfort, discomfort drives learning, and learning, above all, builds character. By committing to this framework, you transform potential from an abstract idea into a concrete, powerful reality.